and share the transmission. Okay. The vanilla archetype. The vanilla archetype is so misunderstood. There's a real sadness in the vanilla kink archetype. Because on one side, it keeps people really safe. And it keeps people like small, keeps us small. Keeps us frozen. But we're comfortable in that frozen, in being stuck. And then on the flip side of that is that then it can feel like often we can reject our vanilla as well, you know. So there's a large portion of us, for those who who feel really like safe in their vanilla archetype, there's just as many people who reject their vanilla kink archetype because it's too basic, it's too normal. So I reject it because I can't be basic, I can't be normal, and I cannot be ordinary. Right? So we get off on being unique. We get off on not fitting in. We get off on being different. But underneath all of that, it makes us fucking sad. It makes us sad. Because we desperately want to fit in. And we desperately want to belong. And yes, we want to be unique, but we also want to be accepted. Right? But we get off on never fitting in. Either way, the false power of the vanilla, it brings sadness. Either way, because it keeps us stuck. It keeps us safe. Right? So the vanilla archetype, the vanilla kink archetype, is very much about being afraid of tasting all the flavors, being afraid of stepping outside the comfort zone, right? Life becomes like two-dimensional. Yeah. I'm a simple person and I go to work and I come home and I will do that well. And then every Saturday I will go out and I will do this. Right? And life becomes very regimented. It becomes very routine. It becomes very safe. Right? Becomes very safe. Sexually, in kink and BDSM, or even just for, you know, like all of it, like sexuality, vanilla represents the positions, the styles of intercourse that society accepts as normal, right? So society says that missionary is acceptable, that women on top, acceptable, bit more edgy, right? Like, oh, she's on top, right? Doggy, acceptable. Yeah. Handcuffs, like, largely acceptable, but on the outskirts for a lot of people, right? So see how there's levels of this vanilla as well. So there's different depths of flavor within vanilla, right? So oral 69, they're very, it's vanilla. However, there's a lot of people who have never had oral sex in their lives, particularly if you're of an older generation. Yeah. So there's variants, there's shades of vanilla as well. But it's whatever society says that is normal. So you can begin to see how vanilla doesn't really exist, but it is definitely a sign that we are conditioned to toe the line of what is acceptable, right? And it happens very much in our lives as well. So it doesn't, so vanilla, the vanilla kink archetype, it's not just happening sexually, it's happening within every area of our lives as well. Where are we towing the line all the time? Where are we playing it safe and falling into the box of the category of, I need to be socially acceptable, right? So to be socially acceptable, I can do this, wear this, say this, want this in order to stay confined in this box of safety. Yeah. On the flip side of that is someone who is on the side of the coin where they crave to be different and they reject being vanilla, and they enjoy being on the outskirts or even the outcast of society, being the extreme version, right? In order to be seen, I need to be extreme, is the false power of the vanilla kink archetype as well. In order to be seen, I need to be extreme. So they get off on being so out there that anything else feels like they're shrinking and conforming into something that feels very uncomfortable for them because it feels very normal and it feels very basic and it makes them feel ordinary, right? Both flavors have a power and a false power, right? So it's, so no matter what sides of the vanilla archetype has a false power of two extremes, really. So let's talk about that beautiful fluid space in the middle, right? That has to be power, right? Has to be that purity of power that we crave. So let's talk about the power of the vanilla kink archetype. The vanilla kink archetype, in its purity and power with full permission, is about making the most of the mundane. It's about seeing and feeling the magic in all moments. It's about simplicity, not being afraid to be still. Yeah. Bringing magic to all moments. Life doesn't need to be crazy and chaotic to feel alive. We can feel alive in the most subtle moments, right? In the most basic and normal everyday things that we do, we can bring a sense of aliveness to that. We can bring a sense of isness to that, right? The vanilla kink archetype is just really present. Yeah. You can feel alive in your senses just by a single touch, by the smallest of movements. We can feel alive, right? Where we honor the sacredness of just life itself, right? We feel the energy of the room, we feel the energy of ourselves, and we just melt into all of it. Yeah. There's absolute sacredness. The sacred kink to this archetype is truly extraordinary, and I honestly believe that it will be life altering for all of us when we harness this, when we give ourselves permission to be in the aliveness and the sacredness of how magical it is just to be alive, just to be here. It's beautiful. It's extraordinary. And we're so lucky. We're so lucky just to be here. In the richness of now, we do not yearn for anything. And that is truly sacred. To have an exchange and a connection with someone else in its absolute simplicity and the smallest of acts can open us wide open, right? Wide open to share and exchange, to connect with someone on the most basic level, can open us up, right? Which is so beautiful. It allows us to carry the nuance of being both ordinary and extraordinary. The vanilla archetype is very much like the glue that allows us to be holy and human, that allows us to be pure pleasure, right? And purity itself. Yeah. It allows us to be unique and belong at the same time. It comes down to our ability to harness the vanilla kink archetype. And that is extraordinary, right? Because we allow ourselves to be human. You might see it as humility or grace, right? There's an ease. It's fluid, yeah. But it's really soft. It's really simple. So it's not about, and notice how when it just is, right? Feeling this, the power of the purity of the vanilla kink archetype, and it brings us into presence and permission to make magic in the mundane, in the moments, because we are both ordinary and extraordinary. Notice how there's no cage, there's no conformity, there's no conditioning. Notice how it doesn't even exist in this moment. Notice. Notice how we just are. That is the power, that is the significance, that is the magnitude and the molecule and the glue that is the vanilla kink archetype. I feel like there's a transmission that wants to come through from the vanilla kink archetype. So I'm going to just melt in and let the vanilla archetype speak in whatever way it wants to. So you may see me, but you don't see me. You may think that you know me, but you don't know me. You know me as sadness. You know me as safety. You know me as plain. I am all of those things and I am none of those things. I invite you now to be with me now, for it is time for you to belong. It is time for you to be in the sacredness of life, where you can be both ordinary and extraordinary. You can find magic in the mundane, in everyday moments. When you harness me, the cage of conditioning and conformity will melt away. I exist. I exist, but I can no longer be conformed to a limited perception, a little wormhole of what you think I am, because I am none of those things. And I am all of those things. Just like you, I am so much more. I am that soft whisper that tells you that you're alive. I am the one that ignites all passion, all fuel. I am teaching you how to be present in all moments. I'm reminding you the power of the pussy, the sacredness of life, the intimate exchange with other, and you can invite them in. There is nothing basic about sacred intimacy. We can invite them in and say, look at me. I am both extraordinary and ordinary, and I allow it to ripple out throughout my veins. I allow it to be in every cell of my body. I belong. I belong. I belong. I'm ready to fit in. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to allow the sacredness of life to move through me. I am ready. And the tears are not tears of sadness, they become tears of joy. They become soul moving, earth nourishing connection with self, connection with life, connection with all that is beautiful. There is beauty in all things when it is of benevolence. Come with me.